Are you ready? Because what just happened with Team USA and Caitlin Clark is wild. USA Basketball. Head coach Kara Lawson is mysteriously gone. Nate Tibbetts is running the show now, and his very first move is starting Caitlin Clark, something Lawson refused to do even after Clark broke 5 world records in her debut game against Senegal. The result? A 55-point win, where Clark led the team in efficiency and assists. And then Tibbetts stands at the podium and flat out says the previous approach was a mistake. If you've been watching this tournament feeling frustrated, this is the video you've been waiting for. When the new coach gets in front of the cameras and admits the previous staff got it wrong, you'll understand exactly why this moment hits different. Drop a comment below. Should Tibbetts be the permanent head coach going forward, or does Lawson come back and undo all of this?
Welcome to the second half of the post-game press conference between USA and New Zealand. USA won 101-46. Joining us now is head coach Nathan Tibbetts and Ryan Howard, two-time TCL player of the game. We'll start with you, Coach Nate. Just your initial thoughts coming out after the game.
Do you know that Caitlin Clark dropped 5 FIBA world records in her very first game for the Team USA senior national team against Senegal? 5. In one game. And then the coaching staff starts talking about getting everyone reps and making sure the whole roster gets a chance to shine. So Clark, fresh off the most historically dominant individual performance in FIBA qualifying history, starts watching stretches of games from the bench while lineups that made no sense took the floor instead.
High-level basketball.
Ryan Howard, back to Clark. Clark into Irfin, and Irfin off the glass, the ball movement.
Let's talk about what actually happened in those early games. Against Senegal, Clark was everywhere, running the offense, creating for teammates, breaking records that had stood for years in international play. And then Kara Lawson started shuffling the rotation in ways that kept Clark either off the ball or on the bench during key stretches. Not because Clark was playing poorly, not because she was hurt, just because apparently everyone deserves a turn.
I thought Puerto Rico played very, very hard, and they played hard the entire time. They challenged us with their effort, and I thought they made a lot of hustle plays to create baskets for themselves. And this was more of an uneven game for us on both ends. We talked about it as a team, and I thought we had some good spots, but I also thought we had some rough spots, and that's good. It's good to have rough spots sometimes. You're able to kind of figure some things out, and we're still figuring things out.
A reporter actually asked Lawson directly about Clark after one of those games, asked her point blank about Clark's role and what the plan was going forward, and Lawson didn't answer it. She just pivoted to talking about how everyone on Team USA deserves to shine, how this is a roster full of great players, how the program is about more than any one person. Which sounds fine until you remember she just watched that one person break 5 world records and still wouldn't say out loud that Clark was her starting point guard.
I think what I like the most is how much they share the basketball, their willingness to play with one another and to be excited for each other's success. We're playing a lot of people. They're playing a lot less than their normal minutes. It's different for them rotationally. I mean, all of these players start, with their respective WNBA teams, and all of them are, like, if not the number 1 option, the number 2 option on their team. And so you're asking them to play a different role, in particular on the offensive end, and they're all doing it willingly.
Here's where it gets interesting, because Lawson wasn't working alone. Stephanie White is also in that coaching room. She's the head coach of the Indiana Fever, Clark's own WNBA team, and she's been serving as a Team USA assistant during this tournament. And White has a pretty well-known philosophy when it comes to Clark. Slow her down, keep her off ball, limit how much she's actually running the offense. So you've got Lawson deflecting questions about Clark's role, and you've got White in the same building with a whole coaching approach built around a version of Clark that basically doesn't exist anymore. That's 2 coaches, same staff, both more comfortable with Clark doing less.
You see all the publicity Caitlin Clark's getting today? Did you see the news? Everybody's talking about Caitlin Clark. We can't have that. The transition offense, Caitlin Clark making passes that nobody in the league has ever seen before. We can't have that. Slow it down, Kara Lawson. Switch it up. We got to make everybody else shine. We don't want her. Everybody else needs to shine. Today's night, it's going to be Paige's night and Angel's night. Yeah. What a brutal game, folks. What a brutal game.
And the numbers showed it immediately. When Clark wasn't running the offense, the pace dropped. Team USA started grinding through half-court sets that didn't suit anybody on the roster. The assists dried up. The ball movement slowed down. The team looked stuck. None of that is a coincidence when you take the player who leads the whole tournament in assists and move her off the ball.
I mean, I thought the game was a little clunky. I felt like we probably didn't play our best. I thought Paige played really well, but it felt good. I mean, I obviously probably didn't shoot it as well as I would have liked. I think their zone kind of threw us off. I thought it kind of slowed down our pace a little bit. We didn't get as much in transition, so I think if like another team plays zone, just continue to play with a lot of pace and don't let them set these out.
Clark didn't say a word about any of it publicly. No complaints, no shade thrown at the coaching staff, no cryptic social media posts. She just played her minutes, put up her numbers, and let the box score do what it does, which, by the way, it absolutely did. But that's not all. Those 5 records against Senegal weren't a rounding error. That's not just she had a hot shooting night. That's a genuinely historic individual performance in international basketball, and the response from the coaching staff was basically to treat it like a nice moment and then move on to making sure everyone else got their turn.
Did it sound like she's refusing to answer questions about the starting lineup? Because at the end, she said, well, everybody's playing a different role and they're the number one. I don't want to hear none of that.
So when fans started calling it the anti-Caitlin Clark plan, that wasn't just Twitter being dramatic. It was a real pattern. Break records, get benched, run the offense better than anyone on the floor, get moved off the ball. Ask the head coach directly about your role. Get a speech about team unity. That's not one bad game plan. That's a philosophy. And the real question is what exactly Lawson thought she was building with it, and why it took her literally disappearing from the sideline for any of it to change. So here's a question nobody has gotten a straight answer to. Where is Kara Lawson? She's there at the start of the tournament. She's making the lineup decisions that keep Clark off the starting unit. She's giving the press conference answers that dodge every direct question about Clark's role. And then, heading into the New Zealand game, she's just gone. No real explanation given publicly, no injury announcement, no official statement, nothing. She's just not there.
Today was just another opportunity for us to look at something else. I thought offensively we did a good job early. We weren't getting the stops that we needed. And then in the second quarter, we just really raised our level defensively.
And into that gap steps Nate Tibbetts. He's the head coach of the Phoenix Mercury, and now he's running Team USA on an interim basis. So what's the very first thing he does before a single minute of game action? He puts Caitlin Clark in the starting lineup. That's it. That's his first move. No long explanation, no committee decision, no speech about getting everyone reps. He just looks at the roster and puts his best player in the starting 5.
For Team USA. He said, if they were starting lineup, every single one of these games, Caitlin Clark gets her first start here in San Juan. That's a solid starting lineup right there. 3 vets, 2 newbies to the senior squad. And of course,
you don't even need to wait for the press conference to understand what that means. The starting lineup alone tells you everything about how Tibbetts sees this team and what he thinks went wrong before he got there. He walked in the door and immediately did the thing the previous staff spent 2 games avoiding. But then the press conference happens. Tibbetts doesn't just start Clark and move on. He actually says out loud on camera, in front of reporters, that not starting Clark earlier was a mistake, not coach speak. Not, we're always looking to adjust our rotations. A straight acknowledgement that the previous approach had Clark wrong. That's a coach eating crow on live television, and he did it without flinching.
What did you see from the lineup with Kelsey Plum, Caitlin Clark, Paige Beckers, Ryan Howard, and Angel Reese, and how did that group impact the flow of the game?
Yeah, I thought they did a really good job. You know, this is a group that hasn't been together very long. We've kind of mixed the matchups, mixed the rotations. We played our players a little bit longer stretches than what we had done in the first 2 games. And so I thought initially they got off to a good start. I probably played them a little bit too long of a stretch at you know, some of them got a little bit tired. But yeah, I love the creativity. I love the shooting with that group.
Go back and compare that to Lawson's answer when a reporter asked her directly about Clark. The pivot to team unity. The speech about how everyone deserves to shine. One coach deflects the question, the other one just answers it. One coach protects a philosophy that wasn't working, the other one fixes it on day one. So the "I told you so" moment fans had been waiting for didn't come from a fan account or a podcast breaking down film. It came from the coach standing at the podium after a 55-point blowout win. That's a different kind of validation. That lands differently.
Give me your first impression of the game.
I thought it was good. I thought we started off a little slow. I thought our second unit came in. It was really good. And then I thought overall in the second half we were pretty good.
We want to start the game. Great start by New Zealand.
Caitlin Clark tries again. This time it's good.
And Tibbetts didn't stop at just fixing the starting lineup. He restructured the whole rotation. He pulled back Angel Reese's minutes, pushed the pace, and gave Clark and Paige Beckers real floor time together. Not a few minutes here and there, but actual extended runs where they could build something. The offense started moving faster and the team started looking like it actually had a plan, but that's not all. The contrast between these two coaching approaches is impossible to ignore now. Under Lawson, the team kept running lineup combinations that seemed designed to work around Clark rather than through her. Experiments that slowed everything down. Under Tibbetts, one game in, the team looks like it knows exactly what it is. Fast, Clark-led, and built around pace and ball movement.
And maybe I don't know, but some of those players are maybe fighting for a spot for the workout, because maybe this is not the team that we are going to see at the World Cup, who knows? And so it's a chance for the rookies, for example. There are 6 rookies in this USA team. They're here to show themselves and prove that they can.
The difference isn't subtle. It's not a small tweak or a minor adjustment. It's a completely different philosophy about what this team should be doing and who should be at the center of it. Lawson had 2 games to figure that out and never got there. Tibbetts figured it out before the opening tip, so now the real question is what Clark actually did with that starting spot. Because getting the opportunity is one thing, and what she did with it against New Zealand was something else entirely. Let's talk about the narratives, because Clark just knocked every single one of them down in 23 minutes against New Zealand. And these aren't new narratives either. She can't play defense. She just jacks up threes. She's a volume shooter who pads sats. She's 8 months removed from a serious injury and still fighting through a flu. She's not really back yet. You've heard all of these. So let's go through them one by one.
Even just holding the ball so they can see it. They steal it just like that. If they see the ball, they can get their hands on it.
Start with the defense one, because it's the easiest to bury. Clark finished the New Zealand game with 2 steals, but not just any steals. Both of them turned directly into fast break points on the other end. She read the passing lane, got her hand on the ball, and her team scored because of it. And that's not a one-game thing either. Across the whole tournament, she's sitting top 5 on the entire Team USA roster in steals. That's not a defensive liability. That's a guard who makes her defense count when it matters.
Scorer for this New Zealand team with 6 points to go along with 3 boards. Kelsey Plum, look at that steal. Hands it up to Caitlin Clark.
Now the three-pointer thing. The idea that Clark just stands behind the line and fires away. She leads Team USA in scoring across the whole tournament, right? But here's what people aren't saying. Most of those points are coming from inside the arc. 2-point shots, mid-range pull-ups, drives into the paint. She's not hiding on the perimeter waiting for a catch-and-shoot look. She's attacking the defense and scoring in multiple ways.
Caitlin Clark on the wing. Look at that, creating her own.
The volume shooter narrative is the one that really falls apart when you look at the numbers. Clark leads Team USA in efficiency rating. That means she's getting more production per possession than anyone else on the roster. Anyone. So she's not just putting up big numbers by taking more shots than everyone else. She's doing it better and more efficiently than her teammates. And on top of that, she leads the whole team in assists, so she's not even holding on to the ball. She's giving it up and making the people around her better.
Returning back since July, how's your body feeling? You got a lot of rhythm
Feel good. Obviously, 5 games in 7 days is a true test and see where my body's at, but so far I feel really good.
But that's not all, because the plus-minus number is where things get genuinely wild. Clark doesn't just lead Team USA in plus-minus. She leads every single player across every single roster in the entire FIBA 2026 qualifying tournament. Every country, every player on every team. When she's on the floor, Team USA is outscoring opponents by more than any other player in the whole field is doing for their team. That's the whole tournament. That's the most impactful player in the entire field right now, and it's not particularly close.
Playing at a national level, although first time, how has it been so far with the fans here in Puerto Rico?
It's been great. I thought our game, especially versus Puerto Rico at 8 p.m., was a really fun one for us. The fans have been great. The fans that have come from America have been awesome. So anytime you get to put this jersey on, I think it's a really fun thing. You take a lot of pride in it, and it's a really big honor.
And she's doing all of this after 8 months off recovering from a serious injury, then showing up to this tournament still dealing with a flu. She said she's been feeling better physically, and the numbers back that up. But the fact that she's the most impactful player in the tournament while not even at full health is its own kind of thing. And the free throw number deserves a mention too. Clark leads Team USA in free throws drawn. Defenses are fouling her, which means she's getting into the paint and making contact. You don't draw fouls hiding on the perimeter. She did all of this in 23 minutes while the lead was already blowing out to 55 points.
Billings looking for space, tries to create it. Billings still gets a hand on it. Now they're on the run, a 2-on-2 opportunity. Monique Billings loses the ball, stays with it, and kisses it off the glass.
While everyone was locked in on Lawson disappearing and Clark breaking records, something else was happening on the floor that deserves its own conversation. Clark and Paige Beckers are building real chemistry, and the New Zealand game was the best look at it yet. When Tibbetts restructured the rotation and gave both of them real floor time together, the offense started moving in a way it just hadn't been moving before in this tournament. Not a little bit better. Noticeably, visibly better.
First half, USA up big, 49-18. Caitlin Clark, no one steps up, drives, kicks it to Beckers, and now the lead.
Picture this backcourt. Clark with the ball, pushing pace in transition, reading the defense before it even sets up, and making the right pass. Beckers on the other side, cutting hard, finding space, finishing. They're not stepping on each other. They're not both trying to do the same thing at the same time. Clark runs the show and Beckers plays off it, and that combination is genuinely hard to guard because defenses have to make a choice, and there's no good one. The Italy game showed it too. Clark put up 12 points and 5 assists in about 22 minutes, and a lot of that production came from her ability to get into the lane and find open teammates. Drive, collapse the defense, kick it out to Beckers or Monique Billings for a clean look. That's how the offense is supposed to flow, and it works because teams can't just sit back and let Clark drive. They have to respect her pull-up, her floater, her ability to finish through contact. So when she does kick it out, those are real open shots, not just emergency passes.
Caitlin Clark to set something up off the Hamby screen, dishes it into Hamby. Hamby makes that one look easy. What a give and go between those two.
Compare that to what the offense looked like under Lawson. Clark off the ball, the pace slowed way down. Half-court sets that didn't match what anyone on this roster actually does well. The team wasn't bad in those stretches, but it looked flat. Not because the talent wasn't there, but because the system kept getting in the way of the talent. Beckers wasn't being used right either. You've got two of the most dynamic guards in the game right now, and the previous setup was basically asking both of them to do less.
Right away, she sees everything on the court.
Clark, one of the best passers there is in basketball. This time, gonna do it herself from the mid-range.
And then there's the Angel Reese situation. Tibbetts pulled back her minutes in the New Zealand game, and the team ran cleaner because of it. There have been real breakdowns when Reese is on the floor with Clark, outlet passes that don't connect, decisions in the lane that don't line up with what Clark is reading. It's not smooth. Tibbetts is handling that the practical way, which is just not putting those two in spots where those breakdowns keep happening. That's a coaching decision about what actually works, and right now what actually works is Clark and Beckers sharing the floor together.
Graham drives against Burrell, up off the glass. Monique Billings pulls down her 6th rebound of the game. Caitlin Clark, the vision and the execution. What a pass inside.
The Clark-Beckers pairing is fast, smart, and unselfish. Both of them make the right pass. Both of them move without the ball. Neither of them needs to be the only option, so defenses never get to focus on just one problem. That's what makes them hard to stop, and that's what the floor actually looks like when they're out there together. For Indiana Fever fans watching this tournament, there's a real bonus story running underneath all of this. Clark is coming out of these games healthy, sharp, and playing the best international basketball of her career. She went through 8 months of injury recovery and then showed up here with a flu and still became the most impactful player in the whole field. That's the version of Clark heading into the 2026 WNBA season, and the Fever should be very excited about that.
The way they're shooting from 3 would not be surprising. 13 of 16 so far from 3 for Team USA. And here we go, Caitlin Clark. Right on cue. Caitlin Clark from the top of the 3, add another triple to her stat line.
Clark broke 5 world records, got benched, watched a coaching staff actively avoid building around her, and then went out there sick and still led every single player in the entire FIBA qualifying field in plus-minus. The coaching staff didn't vindicate her, the numbers did. Tibbetts just finally said it out loud. Drop a comment below. Should Tibbetts be the permanent head coach going forward, or does Lawson come back and undo all of this? Because the World Cup is coming, the 2026 WNBA season is coming. And right now, Caitlin Clark is the most impactful player in this entire tournament. Like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen, and we will see you in the next one.